going on, ladies and lizards? Welcome to the Free Lizard Society podcast, as a podcast where the ethics and philosophy of this podcast is a childlike sense of wonder that if you catch a lizard, you should not sell that lizard. You should give it away for free. Really, it's just an excuse for me to sit in in front of a microphone and talk to people for about 20 minutes. It's just an excuse for that. It's just an opportunity for me to release a little bit of energy into the world, whatever that means. I'm talking about stories of my life. Giving of my lizards, the metaphorical lizards of my life, for free to people. Today I'm recording in my car because I picked up some side work working with my buddy Kyle over the Black Dog Forge, making some metal stuff, doing a metal sculpture for a bank. Got boots on the ground. We're gonna infiltrate this bank, maybe do a little bank heist while we're hanging the art. It's all just a big ruse. I wish I could rob a bank successfully. That'd be sick. That'd get me out of a couple pickles. But working for money is good too. The ultimate bank heist is working for your money. It's like that Key and Peele skit. Like, we get a job at the bank, we work our way up. In 30 years, we retire with a good pension and a decent plan. It's hilarious. The long con. But this week I've been pondering, thinking, stewing. People have been asking me just in my life randomly, like, "Hey, Will, how was your childhood?" My childhood was great. People ask me, like, "What's the worst thing that happened in your childhood?" And I have a hard time thinking of something. I mean, I can think of something now. I won't mention it now because it might be a bummer. But my childhood was pretty great. I had a great childhood. I went on road trips, went to summer camp, played sports, had friends. Probably the last group of latchkey kids to exist. I mean, I had a perfect childhood. I feel badly. I often apologize when people ask me about my childhood because I'm like, yeah, I had a really good childhood. I'm sorry to say that, because people, I feel like a lot of people I meet have bad childhoods, or they didn't like their childhood, some sort of great resentment about their upbringing and childhood, and I feel badly that I had a good time, which is dumb. Maybe I shouldn't feel bad. I mean, I didn't choose to have a good life, The real kicker is, like, when people ask me, like, do you like your dad? Like, you and your dad have a good relationship? Like, yeah, my dad's my best friend, which is super lame. Like, it'd be cooler if my dad wasn't my best friend, like, but I'm not a liar, so I'm just going to keep it real, keep it 100. Me and my dad are buds. I call my dad more than I call any of my friends, which isn't great, probably. I should call my friends probably a little more because they're going to be around longer than him. However, I digress. I mean, my dad's my best friend. People look at me like I'm a lunatic. One time I was talking to my dad on the phone, and I was, we talk about politics, we talk about life, we talk about just nonsense. We just joke around, we goof and gab. And at the end of the conversation, I ended with, "Oh, I love you, Dad." And then I hang up. My friend looks at me like a crazy person. He's like, "Who were you just talking to?" I was like, "My dad." He's like, "Oh, that's crazy." They had no concept of talking to his dad like that. And I feel bad. I've had such a good childhood. I was carefree, drawing monsters, running around the neighborhood, catching lizards. I mean, you really can't ask for a better childhood. And the reason why I'm thinking about this is because I feel like kids today are definitely different. The internet ruined latchkey kids. We used to be latchkey, like, we kind of just run around the neighborhood. I don't know the exact definition of that, but I think the idea is, like, you could just be free as a child, just run around and do, kind of whatever you want, and then come home before dark, hopefully. Or you were abducted and ended up on a milk carton, which is sad. I mean, what a terrible... I'm glad we have Amber Alerts now. We can just ignore them on our phones, but you used to have to, like, sit in front of your cereal box. You used to, like, have to eat cereal in front of a milk carton that had a little missing kid on it, and you had to just ignore it, because otherwise your Cheerios wouldn't taste good if you're thinking about this missing kid the whole time. So now we can just ignore them on our phones. But sad. Back in the day when kids went missing, you just didn't hear from them again. You never talked about it. But now we make the big stink about it. Obviously we should care about missing kids. That's not the point of what I'm saying. I'm just being hilarious, just teasing, just goofing around. But no. Latchkey kids. The internet ruined latchkey kids. I'm not sure exactly why. I'm not a sociologist. I don't know all the ins and outs, but the internet ruined kids. I think maybe because they're at home looking at their phones, getting information instead of being outside like licking stuff. Metaphorically. Babies, they lick things. They just everything they put in their mouth because they got to know what it feels like in their mouth, which I get. I mean, as an adult, you're not supposed to put stuff in your mouth, but I'm sure as an adult you've been like, I wonder what that would taste like. And you don't want to taste it because you don't want to be a freak tasting whatever it is that you're not supposed to be tasting. But little kids don't have that inhibition, so they just put stuff in their mouth. And I think as you're growing up, metaphorically speaking, we put lots of stuff in our mouth. You climb a fence and your pants get caught, and you think it's funny that your pants are caught, so you take a picture, but then your arms get ripped open because your arms are resting on a chain link fence. And that's a good way to learn about sharp chain link fences. And so the next time you hop a fence, you're going to take that into account. Now that happened to me, spring break, 2008, I think, around that time. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, like I learned a valuable lesson that day, or like when I drug a dead coyote carcass to my grandma's house and I was sick for 3 weeks. I was taught a valuable lesson. Don't touch dead animals unless you wash your hands really good afterwards. Yeah, so like kids aren't out there learning. They're in their houses like scrolling, and they were trapped in their houses because of COVID, so they were just trapped with their dumb parents. And like the great thing about having a childhood is that you've got like 8 hours away from your parents during the school year, and that's good because your parents are great, but they can't be they're not who you are. So you were stuck in your house with your COVID parents or whatever, not getting any real education, scrolling online. And then whatever your parents are, you probably became as like a 9 and 8 year old. And now these 9 and 8 year olds have phones. And what are they doing with these phones? They're doing prank videos. I don't care. I mean, I'm not some old guy going, these kids these days. But I mean, these kids these days. I mean, what sparked my thought here, and this why this is about childhood and my own childhood and kids' childhoods today is, when I was a kid using the internet, we would look up YouTube videos, or like maybe even before YouTube, when it was just like a random video website, way better, off the grid, decentralized internet. We were like watching Peeps be exploded in a microwave. But really, most of my childhood on the internet was just watching things in microwaves be exploded. Like, how long can something survive in a microwave? That's what I was doing as a kid. Kids, I was on an Instagram, and my algorithm showed me some awesome cringe video, which I appreciate Instagram. Thank you. They showed me this video of these kids, these Instagram kids that are like conservative kids. I think it's called like Patriot. They're like Patriot kids is basically. I'm not going to say what their channel is because I forgot. A, B, because I want to promote these conservative children. They should be, running around catching bugs, not catching strays and comments, people talking about. I mean, you can't comment on a little kid's video, even if it's political. That's weird. But these kids on Instagram, this channel I found, these Patriot Children, which is an awesome name. They're like super conservative Republican children talking about socioeconomic political issues of America. And they're talking about like foreign affairs, and they're like 12-year-olds. Kids are already arrogant enough. You ask a kid a question and they'll just give you an answer because they don't know how stupid they sound. They don't know how dumb they are. And these kids, I mean, obviously they're just whatever their parents are pumping into their brains. I don't care if you're conservative or Republican, but to be a child talking about, I think sensible gun legislation is good, but the only thing that stops a bad kid with a gun is a good kid with a gun. That's crazy. But also super funny. These kids are talking about like, I mean, obviously the economy is really important to me, Like these kids have to worry about the economy. Like their dumb rich dad with a faux hawk and like, dyed hair. Super lame. You can't dye your mustache. You can't dye your hair. Don't be a man and dye your hair unless you're an actor, or like you're a person that tests hair dye. That would be acceptable too. But you can't be a grown man dyeing your own hair. That's crazy. Don't do that. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. No one cares. Just have whatever hair color you have. But so this dad is obviously pumping these kids full of their ideals, which is fine. I get it. A parent's job is to raise your child and how you see fit. Completely fair, But these kids are walking around like, talking about socialism and communism and stuff. And my favorite story they told was bird feeders are communists. Bird feeders are socialists. We did a little experiment in my backyard. This is the kid talking, this 9-year-old or whatever whatever he is. We put a bird feeder in our backyard, and the birds became reliant on it. The birds and the squirrels, they became reliant on the bird feeder, and they got lazy and they stopped hunting. And one day we didn't fill up the bird feeder, and they all started fighting and destroying each other and tearing each other apart because they had grown so reliant on our bird feeder. Did you know bird feeders were socialist, fellas? Did you? Is it gay to have a bird feeder? Is it communist to have a bird feeder? I mean, I didn't realize birds were so dumb. I know birds aren't smart, but socialist? I mean, how stupid can a bird be? I just thought it was funny that these birds, they think birds are becoming socialist because they have a bird feeder. Like what a very simplistic view of the world, that the bird is only, it's like this bird feeder isn't the bird's grocery store. It's just another tree for it to peck at. For whatever reason, this tree has more seeds. But I can't believe these dumb kids think that bird feeders are socialist. That's what's wrong with America, that we think bird feeders are socialist. Birds don't think about communism and socialism. Birds are like, eat, don't die, eat, make a egg, die. That's what birds think about, I'm sure it's a little bit more poetic than that, but birds, they aren't having complex thoughts on socioeconomic policy. And neither should these kids. Kids should be out playing and running around in the grass, and they shouldn't be talking about Ukraine and Russia. If kids are talking about, I don't know. I think it's insane. I think it's crazy. I think it's a shame. I feel bad for these kids that, they think that their opinion matters. I think that's the real big thing, is that when a kid is so arrogant, the biggest thing you want to communicate to this kid is your opinion doesn't matter. And that's good. Your opinion shouldn't matter. If you walk through life thinking your opinion matters, you're going to be really annoying at parties. You're going to be a hard person to be around because you have this pretentious idea of your opinion mattering, and because you're on Instagram getting likes and people are commenting on it, you're like, oh, I'm doing the right thing. I'm really stirring the liberal pot, I'm making sure these birds aren't socialists, capitalist birds. What if worms had machine guns, birds wouldn't mess with them. But here's the thing about birds is they're socialists. So maybe birds wouldn't mess with worms if they just understood the true socialist agenda, that each according to their own need. I don't know. I think it's crazy. I think if your kid's online talking about politics, you should ground them and maybe arrest them. I don't know. Take their door off their room. I don't know. Be a good parent. Don't let your kids. Even if their kids are talking about socialism and communism, that's lame too. You can't have kids going, oh, the labor value supply chain concepts. That's lame. You can't have a kid thinking about communism when he's a little kid, because of course a kid's gonna think communism's good. It's kind of funny that these kids are like, I think people should work hard for their money. And one of the things they said, you should be giving a hand up, not a hand out. Whatever the hell that means. God forbid you help somebody out. And I just love these kids. These kids are being bred to not want to help people. And I don't think that socialism is good per se, or communism is good per se. It might be bad. But don't be a kid talking about it. That's dumb. Don't think you're smart. Nothing's worse than a smart kid, because they're really stupid, because kids are dumb. Kids are supposed to be dumb. That's why you go out and you touch dead animals and you climb over fences and get injured and go to the hospital. That's how you learn. You don't learn from arguing with people online. You learn how to be a douchebag. You learn how to suck. I don't know. I'm just worried for these kids. We need to go back to the old days when they just went missing. And I'm not saying I want kids to go missing or I'm going to take any kids, but I think when kids would randomly go missing, there was this specter over children where they were more carefree and they didn't want to think about all the trials and tragedies of history. They just thought about their cul-de-sac, riding bikes around, flirting with the girl at the splash pad, playing with dinosaurs. That's what kids should be doing. Kids should not be arguing about politics online. That can't be good, right? That's why the robots need to take over. The robots will take care of all this. They will solve our problems. Because then kids won't have to argue about politics online because their robot tutor will be telling them how ridiculous they sound. And yeah. So don't let your kid online unless you want them to suck. This is like more of a public service announcement. This is really important that I get this out. Don't be a dumb kid. Or no, be a dumb kid. Don't pretend that you're not a dumb kid. Be who you are, a dumb child. And if you're a grown up and you're like, but now I get to tell my kids about politics. Okay, do that. But just remember that you were also just some dumb kid at one point in time, pretending like you got it all figured out. Right? We all used to be kids and then we got here. You know, we're all grown up sperm. Just living our lives pretending like we know what's going on. And in reality, we're all just a bunch of dumb kids. Isn't that what Jesus said? Become like a child again. So, you know, just don't think too highly of yourself. You know, go outside, catch a lizard, take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay. And if it's not okay, we'll just always wish it was. So, anyways, great talking to you. Love you, you little lizards.